Part two of tonight's doubleheader, just moments away from getting started. The Javelinas preparing to entertain the number 8 team in the nation, the West Texas Buffs. They're coming to this game riding a 5-game winning streak. West Texas entering this game 15-2 on the season. They are 4-0 in the Lone Star Conference. And their big thing that has helped them out the most is they are 7-0 at home. But the possible good news for the Hogs is that West WT is just 3-2 in true road games this season. The Javelinas with the starting lineup of Rashad Thomas, Jacoby Harris, Chauncey Thomas, Will Shire, and Robert Stevenson, hoping to add another chapter to WT's issues on the road. When I say issues, they've only lost 2 games all season. They've only played 5 on the road, and they've lost 2 of them. As far as issues go, that's not something I don't think a head coach is going to lose too much sleep about. As I mentioned, they come in ranked 8th in the nation. And for the Javelinas trying to shake off what was a 10-point loss on Saturday at the hands of Angelo State. The Hogs are 4-7. They're 0-3 in conference, trying to get that first conference victory. And the Javelinas, if they get their first conference win tonight, will have to do it against an outstanding ball club led by senior guard Ryan Quaid, who's at the center court to take the opening jump. Quaid's accompanied by Gotch, Quaid Grant, Brandon Hall, and number 13, Joel Murray. Quaid, a first-team all-conference pick last season. A 6'6" senior from Fort Collins, Colorado. And he really is the man to watch in tonight's game. Stevenson, one of the best defenders in the LSC, preparing to take the tip. That'll be a great matchup if those two are matched up on defense. Stevenson against Quaid. Stevenson is a tenacious defender, one of the leaders in this conference in blocks per game. Against Ryan Quaid. And the referee's just sorting out a couple of things before we start. This is a crew of referees that the Javelinas have seen before, most recently in San Antonio right before Christmas in a game against St. Mary's. And even before we start, we have a quick visit to the scorers table. West Texas is not at the top of the conference statistics in a ton of categories. Not exactly where you'd expect for the number 8 team in the country, but there are 2 things they are great at. They are 3rd in the conference in scoring offense, and they lead the LSC in turnover margin. This team 20th in the nation with turnover margin at plus 447 per game. Defense. And we'll see how those 2 styles mesh when West Texas has the basketball tonight. For the Javelinas, I mentioned a 3-game win streak. I'm checking the backboard and the rim. The basket to our left, closest to the Javelina bench. The Javelina women last won 3 in a row at the beginning of last season. 2 ahead of anything, but they would be at 3-3 in the conference. And I guarantee the rest of the LSC taking notice of Wade Scott's Javelina after an upset over the undefeated and second-ranked West Texas Lady Buffs. Coach Johnny Estelle and the Javelinas last season almost did that to this West Texas team, losing 70-59 at home in a game where Chris Boulware missed what would have been a coast-to-coast layup at the buzzer. Tough second half of the season for Estelle and his team. Coming into this one, the Hogs have lost 5 of 6, the only exception being their neutral site game against Arkansas Tech back on December 15th. And now I'm sure you can see the tape measure coming out and the basket to our left. If you can't see it, 2 of the officials are measuring the height of the rim to make sure that it is exactly where it needs to be. I have to say, this is the first time I've ever seen this at a basketball game in years and years of covering college basketball. This is a first. But obviously they want to make sure that everything is at the regulation height and that there aren't any, that everything is right where it needs to be in line with the rules of the game. The head coach for WT, Tom Brown, right in front of me, laughing about something with the one official who is And now the head of the spec, Phil Capri, is out there along with Dennis Hawkins, the Director of Athletics for Finances. Steve Roach, the Athletic Director, making a trip out to try and figure out exactly what the situation is or how they can remedy it. Maybe it might be a better way of, might be exactly what is happening right now. Obviously not a second of basketball has been played. And the situation at the rim being sorted out right now. And Cantu seems to be explaining to everyone in that circle what the issue is or possibly how it can be fixed. Now that gives you more time for me to tell you about Ryan Quaid. Quaid, as I mentioned, a first-team all-conference selection last year, was a nominee, or I should say was a candidate for preseason player of the year, and he really has picked up the slack. David Chavlovich really was the number 1 scorer for this team last year, left as the all-time leading scorer in West Texas history. But even with Chavlovich gone, this WT team that was ranked throughout the entirety of the 2017-18 campaign is right back in the same role as one of the dominant teams in the Lone Star Conference. Quaid averaging 15.1 points per game and 8.4 rebounds. The points per game is 6th. The rebounds per game mark puts him 2nd. He has 5 double-doubles this season, and he is one of 4 players in the starting lineup for the Buffs and for Coach Tom Brown that's averaging in double figures. The only exception is Brandon Hall, and he's at 9.4. So suffice it to say, this West Texas team can score, and that will be a really interesting battle throughout the night. Is this potent West Texas offense against the Javelina defense that allows fewer points and a worse shooting percentage from the floor than anyone in the Lone Star Conference. And a big part of who's going to win those battles is going to be Quaid against Stevenson, you would think, in the paint. And Javelina's this season, the issue has been just a search for a consistent scorer. I imagine they've had so many different players lead the team in scoring in at least one game. The other side of that, the term that, if you want to look at that from kind of a devil's advocate perspective, is that they just haven't had one player emerge as the go-to scorer, as the guy you can say, all right, they need points in this possession, this guy's going to get the ball, or this is the guy who's going to say, give me the ball, I'll go do it. And who you can really, I guess you would say, for lack of a term, who you can trust in that situation. Javelina's last year, Trey Sumter was the person who filled that role. Now we get a thumbs up from the official. It seems that we are ready to go. Looks like we are ready for basketball here at the Sankey Physical Education Center. And the referee saying to the scores table, the issue wasn't the net. And now one gentleman coming over whose identity I don't know to discuss the situation, but whatever his gripe was seems to have been settled in a hurry. He seems happy with the answers he received. And now we are ready for the opening tip. Quaid against Stevenson. Tamuk against number 8 here at the Spec. Tamuk against number 8. And here we go. The tip from Stevenson to Harris, back to the point man, Chauncey Thomas. Chauncey Thomas, Rashawn Thomas, Will Shire, Jacoby Harris with Robert Stevenson. Thomas, Rashawn Thomas left for Shire to Chauncey Thomas. Shire thought about putting up a 3, guarded closely by Gotch. Gotch backing him down. Hook shot, using the backboard well for the game's first 2 points. Grant, left side for Quaid, indeed being guarded by Stevenson. Left side, Quaid. Stevenson has to guard him. Gotch with a straight on 3 that is a little bit too strong. Rashawn Thomas into the paint, trying to draw the contact, does. The shot doesn't go, but the foul is called. And that's Joel Murray, who draws the first foul of the night with exactly 1 minute off the board. And Rashawn Thomas to shoot 2. 73% free throw shooter, one of the better free throw shooters on this team. Pockets the first one. And one quick stat, not to go back to that women's game too much, but the Javelina women did not trail for a single second in the second half of that game against the number 2 team in the country. Quaid and Murray. Grant to Gotch. Quaid and Grant. The ball moving by WT all the way around the horn. Grant being guarded by Shire. Big height advantage. Shot blocked by Rashawn Thomas, and now a loose ball scooped up by Thomas. Mook with an early 3-0 lead. 90 seconds gone. Harris to Stevenson. Stevenson with 21 points against Arkansas Tech in that win on December 15th. 9 rebounds, 21 points was a career high. Shire, an air ball. There's Harris who throws it in, but it's tipped, and Murray corrals it. Murray wants to go right to the paint, blocked by Stevenson. Stevenson's big issue on this place has been avoiding fouls. He did it well right there. Thomas to Thomas. Jacoby Harris came back as the leading returning scorer. Stevenson draws the foul. This has been Stevenson's biggest bugaboo this season, is free throw shooting. Really in his Javelina career, but he's actually done a good job getting it up to 50% so far on the year. And he also leads the team in rebounds at game 6.3, has 16 blocks. First free throw good. And I mentioned he's one of the top blocks per game in the LSC. He ranks second, 1.5 blocks per game, behind only Emili Chukaka, who we'll see from Eastern New Mexico on Saturday. Stevenson sinks them both, nothing but net. First 5 points of the game to Tamuk. Grant guarded closely by Thomas. Quaid on Stevenson. Gotch. Shire. Quaid will miss it. Right there to rebound off the backboard of the air ball was Joe Murray for the putback. Right place at the right time to get WT on the board. Thomas to Shire, who made his first start against Angelo State on Saturday. Stevenson, Thomas. Thomas to Rashawn Thomas. He'll try the contested three. And it's 8-2 Hogs. Quaid on Stevenson. Stevenson back down a little bit. Now Gotch left open for the triple. Can't answer. Stevenson patiently waits for Harris to come open. Everyone's ready to run their offense. Starting this game on a little bit of a run. Thomas. And we get a team control foul against Tamuk. A blocking foul. That will be the first on Will Shire. And John Mouton waiting to come in. He'll be Tamuk's first sub. Gotch to Jordan Collins, who just entered the game. Grant. And they get a blocking foul on Thomas. That's sure, for all everything I know, it looks like a hand check. It looked like that foul goes against Thomas. It looked like the offensive player initiated the contact, but they get Thomas for his first. That's Tamuk's second. Ball tipped by Stevenson, and he saves it inbounds, and then Mickens can't corral the pass. Mickens and Mouton, who just entered for Shire and Chauncey Thomas. Now Alex Mills goes in for Rashawn Thomas. And no one felt worse after dropping that pass than Darius Mickens. Grant. To Eric Mosley. Collins. Hall drives in. The floater is good. Harris to Mouton. Three-pointer off. Hit nothing but the backboard on that one. Quickly headed to the front court. Layup too strong by Mosley. Mickens right to the basket. A little too much on it. Rebounded by Mosley. A couple possessions for each team. Maybe a little bit too ambitious. Shot no good, but the foul gets drawn. I believe that'll be on Jacoby Harris. And with that foul going against Harris, that'll take us to our first immediate timeout. 8-4 is our score. Just short of 5 minutes gone on the first half. Be right back on the Javelina Sports Network. Grant to shoot 2 free throws, try and bring his team within a pair. And Ryan Quaid preparing to re-enter for the Buffs, and he does. In for Gotch. Grant, so far in this season, 57% from the charity stripe, but hasn't hurt his average of 11.5 points per game. 3 fouls by Tanook, 2 by WT. Thinking of both is Grant. Subbing in is Drew Evans. And Evans, Mosley, Quaid, Hall. And Jordan Collins with a 5 on the floor for Coach Tom Brown against Mickens, Mouton, Severo, Mills, and Elton Dyer. Dyer and Mills just entered the game. Mouton in a 3-point game. Mills wanted to throw it to Mickens just as Mickens looked away. Luckily for him, he held onto the ball. Mickens wants to go to the hole, step back, nothing but the backboard. Loose ball out of bounds off of WT. Mickens sets it inbound it to Mills. Mills puts up a contested 3, wouldn't go. Hall. Evans to Collins, picked by Quaid. Here is Hall, a 6-foot senior from Arlington, Texas. Collins, a long 3, too much. Dyer has a rebound taken away. Ball's on the ground and taken away by Mouton. Evans looked like he just lost awareness of where the ball was for a second. And Mills goes right to the basket just as Mouton is called for a foul. And Jamel Bradley makes his first appearance. He's in for Mouton. Joe Murray comes back in. Inbound to Collins. And Hall will bring it up. Murray to the basket, gets rejected in his attempt to drive, comes back out. A foul on the inside on Quaid. And they get a double foul, one on Quaid and one on Severo, I believe. And that's Quaid's second with not even 7 minutes gone.
That's our All-American double foul. Get a cheap one down here. Now he's got 2 already.
And on number 1 is Daniel Severo.
All being inbounded. Thrown into the back court and running to get it is Hall. 3-pointer late in the shot clock, no good. Here's Bradley. And you might have heard Coach Brown complaining, hey, that's our All-American with 2 fouls. So many games are officiated differently based on whoever's refereeing it. Bradley lost it, but then almost, not intentionally, but kicked it back out to Mills. Mickens. Dyer, Severo. Missed that. Bradley keeps the possession alive. Thought about going right back to the basket. Backing his defender down on a much smaller man. Lays it in. Brown wants to know how that wasn't a travel. But Tanook up now 10-5. Hall to Gotch. Hall driving in. Too many big bodies in there. Evans on Bradley. Dyer waiting for him inside. Severo arrives for help. Gotch with Severo in his face. Double teamed as Mills comes in. Open man Collins. 5 to shoot. Gets it off. Good. Mills picked up his dribble. Bradley comes to help, and we get an offensive foul. I believe that'll be Severo's second, and it is. That's already 6 against the Javelinas.
I'm a big man.
Brandon, who'd you have? 2-3?
Mosley comes in, so does Grant, and the referee a quick discussion with Brown. And both parties seem to part amicably. Stevenson in for Severo. And for the Hogs, getting Quaid out of the game with those 2 fouls so early is a huge win. But I would be surprised if Brown didn't bring him back before the first half ended. You got a senior player who's really skilled. I would think Brown, who's in his 5th season, would trust Quaid to play a few minutes in this half with 2 fouls. Going to pick up the third. Mickens with the steal. Going in for the jam. Evans left open, and he answers. Even basketball being played here in the first half of the first half. Stevenson. Mickens. Backs off his man. Jumper hits it from the free throw line. Teams combined are just 2 of 10 from 3-point range. They've also shot just 6 free throws so far, but other than that, the shooting has been good. 3-pointer won't go. Stevenson tips it to himself, just too tall for Gotch. Tamuk shooting 5 of 12 from the floor, 41.7%. Mills cans a 3. The lead is 7. Early in the game, but that's the largest lead of the night so far. Gotch with Stevenson on him. He'll try the contested 3. Can't go. Mills can't get the rebound, but Dyer knocks it loose. Bradley fighting for it. It gets left behind, comes to Murray. Open for a 3. Again, air ball that time by Mosley. Arrives in the arms of Mickens. So Stevenson has it taken away, a little bit too ambitious there by Mickens, but then he steals it back and gets it to Dyer. Alley-oop to Stevenson, who draws the foul. And Alex Mills holding his mouth like he might be bleeding, or I did not see any blood, but he certainly looks like he was in some duress. But as it is, we have immediate timeout. 10:34 to go in the first half. The score, the Javelina 17. The West Texas Buffs 10. We'll be right back. This is the Javelina Sports Network. .10:34 to play in the first half. A 17-10 lead for the Javelinas, and I would expect Stevenson at the line for 2 fouls after a rough foul after going up for the alley-oop. And that came following a wild sequence. And I actually believe the referee might have called a jump ball on that. No, the referee looked like he was giving a number that it was a foul. Yes, it was a blocking foul. And we're curious to see if Alex Mills is coming back into this game. Obviously, he's not in now. Chauncey Thomas, Rashawn Thomas, Harris, Bradley, and Stevenson are the 5 on the floor. The foul was not called a shooting foul. I don't know how. That was the 4th foul against WT, though. Inbounded to Jamel Bradley. Stevenson wants it inside with Gotch guarding him. Harris. Thomas. Harris to Chauncey Thomas. Moving left out to Stevenson. 9 to shoot. Offensive foul against Bradley. And sure enough, here comes Quaid back into the game with 10:14 to play. And he's trying for the trap, broken with a pass to Quaid. Quaid bringing it up on Bradley. Timook trying for the trap again. Evans to Murray. Gotch. Cross-court pass. Getting his man in the air is Grant. Loose ball stolen by Rashawn Thomas. A pass easily stolen by Murray. Just trying to do too much right there was Harris. Left for Evans. Open is Gotch. Gotch hits the three. It's a 4-point game. You see that with this team maybe a little bit too often on fast breaks. They just try and do too much. Trying to thread the needle, and now Thomas keeps it in bounds as the ball bounces off the ref. Thomas drives in, draws the foul, can't get the love off the window. 2 free throws coming up, as that one is the second on Murray.
At the free throw line, shooting 2 shots for the Hawks, number 10, Chauncey
Thomas. First free throw is good. He's the number 2 free throw shooter on this team, shooting at 81%. Only person better is Elton Dyer, who is 10 of 11 on the year. Turnovers in this game already 8 for the Javelina, 6 for WT. Both free throws push Timook's lead back up to 6. The full court press is on to Evans. Evans going to drive in. Ball knocked out from behind him by Rashawn Thomas. And the possession will reset. 5 seconds ticked off the shot clock during that exchange. Evans, guarded closely by Harris. Ball out of bounds off the hands of Harris. We've had 2 5-second intervals of basketball here in between West Texas inbounds plays. Ball to Quaid. Gosh, thinking about trying a 3 from a mile away. Evans into Quaid. Stevenson playing defense. Quaid trying to go through him, thinks better of it. Gotch now will try the long 3 off the iron, then off the shot clock, out of bounds to Timook. And a huge amount of credit for that step has to go to Robert Stevenson. Totally thwarted the attempt by Quaid to score. Now Quaid goes out of the game after a brief cameo with no harm done to the Javelina cause. Thomas, Shire, now Harris. Ball movement, such an enormous part of this team's offensive game. The floater by Thomas, no good. Hall, driving in past Shire. Pass out to Gotch. And he's going way over Evans' head to turn it over. And this WT team just looks a little bit out of sync right now. Here comes Collins into the game. A very frustrated Drew Evans goes to the bench. Javelinas want to make this game ugly. They want to make it dirty. They want to make this game low scoring. WT wants to get out and shoot and score. Thomas, free throw line. Lead is up to 8. Largest lead of the night for Timook. Brandon Hall. Open man is Collins. Hits the 3. Thomas looked like he traveled. I know they're going to call a foul against WT. Tom Brown beside himself. That's on Brandon Hall. That's his first. The 7th. That will put Timook at the free throw line. But after we take a media timeout. 7:47 to go in a 5-point game in the first half. We'll be right back. This is the Javelina Sports Network. So no free throws. My mistake. That was WT's 6th foul. It's Tamook that has 7 fouls. Mickens inbounding it to Thomas. Harris slowly left to Mickens. I don't think Stevenson has seen the ball in the low post once so far in this game. Thomas, Mickens. Driving. Hall pulls up and puts it down. Javelina's shooting better than 50% so far in this game. WT by contrast is 6 of 18. Gosh. Collins. Hall. WT looking to get a rhythm going on offense. Driven. Block shot. No foul is called, but they hit the 3. Mickens with a double team pass for Shire. Thomas. Stevenson wants it inside, but he's got both Gotch and Collins watching him in this zone. 9 to shoot. Mickens. Harris for the triple. Air ball, but he does draw a foul. That's going to be on Quay Grant. And this will be free throws. That is 1 on Grant. There are 3 players in this game with 2 fouls. Severa for Tamook and Quaden Murray for WT. 3 shots for Jacoby Harris. First one rattles home. Harris, a 60% foul shooter this season, 18 of 30. And John Mouton preparing to enter for the Javelinas, one of a couple of subs waiting at the scorer's table. And Drew Evans is back in. And now Ryan Quaid will come in as well as Grant and Mosley go to the bench. Stevenson goes out as Mouton returns. Coach Starr likes to keep the players rotating. Doesn't want anyone to sit on the bench and get stale. Harris is perfect. All 3 of them. 7-point lead. To Gotch. Saw earlier, he's not afraid to shoot the ball from anywhere. A ferocious move there to keep the ball and get Thomas out of his way. Hall. 8 to shoot. Evans. Driving on Harris, he traveled to turn it over. For West Texas, that was their 7th turnover of the night. Mouton. And Mouton with the layup. He's on the board, his first 2 points. Hall to Collins. WT trailing by 9. This is the largest deficit of the first half, out of bounds off the Javelinas.
Howard to the cut. Higher, Drew. Drew, higher. I got 12 in the clock.
Out to Quaid. Shire playing defense on him for the first time right now. 7 to shoot. Hall will try the contested 3 and hit it. And WT's three-pointers are keeping them in this game right now as they cut the deficit to 6. Harris. Mouton left on Gotch. Pass deflected. Loose ball kicked out of bounds, I believe, by Thomas. No! The official on the baseline saying it is West Texas basketball. Drew Effin saying to his coach, I didn't even touch the ball. And now Alex Mills comes in for Mouton. No, check that for Rashawn Thomas. So Mills, Mouton, Harris, Shire, and Darius Mickens are on the floor for the Javelinas. 6-point game. Tamook still shooting better than 50% in this one, 9 of 17. WT 4 of 13 from beyond the arc. Mickens, Harris, 13 to shoot. Mills to Mickens. 5 on the shot clock now. Mickens takes it himself. Can't get it to go. Rebound. They're going to get, I think, Jacoby Harris for a push against Grant, who grabbed the rebound. For Harris, that'll be his second foul, and this will be a 1-and-1 coming up.
His second personal foul. 8th team foul for the Hawks. In the game for the Javelinas.
Elton Dyer waved in for Jacoby Harris. Grant 1 of 2 the first time up the line, right in line with his average of 57%. Seven different players on the score sheet as Collins comes in for Quaid. And credit to Tom Brown for using Quaid well with his 2 fouls. And also credit to Quaid for being smart. He has not picked up the third. He stayed away from trouble. Has not gotten himself in further difficulties with the fouls as both free throws are good. Grant now with 3 points. His team trails by 4. Dyer to Mills. Mickens. Lost control. Ball goes to Collins. The finger roll spins in from Hall. Coach Castell wants the timeout. 4:36 to go before the half. The Javelinas lead 28-26. This is the Javelina Sports Network. Two-point game between Tamook and West Texas. In the final minutes of the first half, Shire to Mickens. Driving the floater way too strong. Rebounded by Grant. Grant racing ahead. Shire trying to knock it out of his hands. Swung left for Evans, who traveled. And Evans immediately unhappy with the call. Thomas left. Mosley playing defense, assisted by Hall. Cross court for Dyer. Texas West Texas being aggressive with those double teams in the first half. Mills, long three, can't make it count. Javelina still clinging to a 2-point edge until just then. West Texas ahead for the first time in this game, leading by one at 29-28. Mouton to Chauncey Thomas. Javelina's been struggling to get shots inside via drives or post play. Shire has it stripped away, but standing out of bounds was Hall. And it'll just be Javelina ball again with 14 seconds to shoot. We have our final media time out of the half. 3:23 to go before halftime, 29-28 the score in favor of WT. Chauncey Thomas inbounding it for Tamuk. Tosses it out to Dyer. Thomas. Bradley trying to drive, but he traveled. Hall. Left open three. Grant can't make it go. Mouton with the rebound, racing ahead of the pack. Has it stripped out of his hands, out of bounds, off WT. 19 combined turnovers in this half, 10 by Tamuk. 9 turnovers by WT. Bradley, Dyer. Still a 1-point game. These teams have not been separated by more than 9 points at any time in the first half. No one's seen a double-digit advantage. Thomas. Calling for a pick from Bradley with 10 seconds to shoot. Thomas driving past. Gotch gets the layup over him. No good. The tip-in by Bradley won't go. The putback by Elton Dyer is good. His first 2 points. Diving in for a layup, no good. Was Hall, he wanted a foul. There was no whistle. Mouton to Thomas. Dyer was the 10th Javelina to get on the score sheet in this game. Floater won't go. Dyer almost stripped it away, but it was grabbed by Grant. Right side, Evans. Out to Gotch. Now left open is Hall. In and out. Tamuk ahead by a point. Ticking down towards 100 seconds to play before halftime. And now we get a foul on the Javelinas. That's going to be on Dyer. That's the 9th against the Javelinas. Now we're down as the 11th turnover of the half for Estelle's team. And that's a number that he'd probably feel is too high. Grant. Javelina Bradley trying to catch up. Up and under the layup, doesn't go. And then we get a whistle and a foul against the Buffs. That's 8 on them with 90 seconds to play before halftime. And Jamel Bradley, who drew the fouls, but first got a hustle to the other side of the court. He wants his free throws.
At the free throw line, shooting 1 and 1 for the Hokies, number 21, Jamel Bradley.
Bradley's first time at the line tonight. 63% free throw shooter. First one is good. Bradley Jr. from Houston, Texas, the brother of fellow Javelina Jr. Dominique Bradley, who's one of the centers, comes off the bench for this squad. He's hit double figures 3 times this season. Both free throws are good. 4 points for Jamel Bradley. Tamook leads by 3 in what has been really nip and tuck first half of basketball. Driving in layup counts from Grant. And Elton Dyer, who took a hard hit on a pick from Gotch, is still down near half court. And the official saying since they stopped play for Dyer, I think he has to come out briefly, and Darius Mickens will come in for him.
Number 23, Darius Mickens.
Thomas for Mickens. Pass just out of the reach of Bradley, turned over. A pick, got setting a pick on Mickens. Going to the hole and missing the layup. That time was Grant. Mickens trying to drive past Gotch. Pass underneath to Mouton. Plenty of contact, no foul. Mills hits the open 3. 40 seconds to play in the half. Hall. And we get a whistle and a foul on Alex Mills for grabbing Gotch, and that will be 2 shots for the senior from Minnesota, with that being the 10th foul against the Javelinas. For Mills, that's his first. Javelina's expecting to try and grab a rebound on that, maybe not realizing that this was good for 2 shots. Gotch shooting him at 75% this season. I think that's just about the benchmark. Obviously, everyone wants to see 90. I think any coach that was happy with 75% from a free throw shooter. Derek Geddes comes in for the first time. 2-point game. Javelina's going to hold for the last shot. They should go into the locker room with the lead here. A full court press on for West Texas. Mills gets both men in the air and gives it to Bradley. Bradley with a pair of men watching him. Gives it to Thomas. And the opponent backs off. Thomas with his hand up, holding for 1 shot. He gives everyone the thumbs up. Five to shoot. Thomas says, forget it, I'll do it myself, and lays it up and in, and gets the foul. And we get Grant for the foul with 1.9 to play in the half. And that was a fired up Javelina team after Thomas made that shot and drew the foul. And subs come in for each team now, as Thomas will try the free throw. And the lead is 5. Under 2 seconds here for WT to do anything. Ball tipped by Mickens, and that reduces the amount of time to 9/10 of a second. And a warning to the coach, to the Javelina coach, Johnny Estelle. And now Jordan Collins is coming in for Brandon Hall. We've had multiple subs in these last 2 seconds of the half. I would think Camu's only objective would be don't let him inbound the ball in the front court. Ball thrown to the front court, over the head of Gotcha, goes out of bounds off of no one. And that's with 9/10 of a second. I don't think that would bother you too much. You're trying for kind of a home run play. And the ball's thrown all the way back to the spot of the previous inbound. Tamuk will throw it in with the basket within range. And you can catch and shoot with 9/10 of a second. You don't have to tip it in. And now we get whistles as everyone's trying to figure out where the coach wants them. And now there was an extra player on the court as Grant comes off. Mills misses it. The shot was waved off, so it wouldn't have counted. And now they get a foul on Eric Mosley. And it's a technical against Mosley. And the coach for WT saying, you got to be kidding me. And look at the replay to see what the call might have been. It couldn't have been anything Collins did. He looked like he was grabbing Jamel Bradley before the ball came in. And the coach, Tom Brown, discussing it with the official nearest to his bench. Collins definitely grabbed Mosley, my mistake. Mosley, you can see, looking at the replay, definitely grabbed Bradley before the ball came in. And the result, and now they're looking at the replay to try and check the foul. The clock has expired on the scoreboard above our heads, and as I'm sure you can see on the scoreboard on the live stream, the clock ran out. I'm not sure if the foul superseded that, and therefore the 9/10 of a second will be put back on the clock. And if you can hear the expression from the referee, he's saying it's a flagrant one with 2 shots, and Tamuk will get the ball at the spot.
At the free throw line, shooting 2 shots for the Hawks, number 21, Jamel Bradley.
With 9/10 of a second left. So the clock didn't start. It was before the foul got called. And 2 free throws for Jamel Bradley. And Brown discussing it with the official as Bradley cans both free throws. And we get a bench warning now against WT. Not on the head coach, on one of the assistants. 9/10 of a second, of course, back on the clock. And if miraculously the Javelina's hit a shot here, boy, what a shot in the arm this whole sequence would be. Hitting into the half for Mouton. Shot hit off the rim. And time. And the And now saying that nobody touched the ball, therefore the clock shouldn't have started, even though it hit the rim, I believe is what the officials are saying. So now the officials, and this has been the longest 2 seconds to end a half, I think, in the first half, I should say, in the history of basketball. But plenty for the officials to sort out over the course of these 2 seconds, and also there have been plenty of substitutions. We've had multiple possessions, I think, for each team in the last couple of seconds, and also, of course, the flagrant foul. And a couple of officials just trying to figure out exactly what the call is here.
So 9-6 is your ball, so nobody touched it. Because it's like, why everybody touched it, your ball.
And so they're just going to replay it. Basically, the consensus was the clock shouldn't have been started, but now Temuka with another chance. This is their third inbounds play with 9/10 of a second to play in this half. Mills to Mickens, can't hit it. But the Javelinas take a 7-point lead into the half against the number 8 team in the nation. Temuka trying to snap a 2-game skid, looking for their first LSC victory at home against West Texas, but still 20 minutes of basketball left to play. So a lot of basketball left. 40-33 is our score. We'll take a quick break. It is halftime here at the Spec. We'll be right back on the Javelina Sports Network. Johnny Estelle's Javelinas currently holding a 7-point edge at the half here at the Spec. against the number 8 team in the nation, the West Texas A&M Buffs. And the Javelinas with advantages up and down the stat chart. As you look at the halftime statistics on our stream via Javelina Athletics and YouTube Live. Tamuk with advantages in field goal percentage, shooting better from 3, 13 of 14 from free throws. That's eerily similar to what we saw from the Javelina women's team and their upset of the WT women's squad. They were, I believe, 17 of 18 at the half in free throws. The men's squad, 13 of 14. Tamuk at rebounding, WT 16 boards to 14. Assists are even. Tamuk with 1 more steal. And also with 3 blocked shots, none for West Texas. The only advantage in the stats you see on your screen right now, West Texas has turned it over 2 times fewer than the Javelinas. But WT already closing in on their average. I mentioned before the game, they average fewer than 12 turnovers per game. They've already hit 10 in that category. Now the Javelinas have been a little bit fast and loose with the basketball, giving it away 12 times. But both teams have been aggressive and have made mistakes as far as ball handling is concerned, committing offensive fouls, giving the other team extra possessions. Points off turnovers about even, 8 for Tamuk and 7 for WT. So the turnovers have not been a huge factor in this game, as startling as 22 turnovers in one half might seem. Each team also with an even 10 fouls. So we seem like we are far off of the pace we saw on Saturday when both teams combined for 59 in that matchup between the Javelinas and Angelo State. 4 players with 2 fouls for WT. Grant, Murray, Quaid, and Mosey. And again, credit to Tom Brown, the head coach for WT, and to Quaid. Quaid played a handful of minutes after picking up that second foul in sort of quick cameos, but he was smart about the way he played defense. Stayed away from picking up that third foul, and Coach Tom Brown was careful to only use him for short bursts and not put him in a situation where he'd be playing for a while and would be in a position where he was really risking picking up that third foul. When you have a senior like Quaid who's so integral to what WT plays well, even with 2 fouls, like I think as a coach, you have to trust your senior captain, your senior leader, to play without picking up that critical third infraction. For the Javelinas, Daniel Severa and Jacoby Harris, the only players with 2 fouls. Other than that, it's obviously every bunch of players with 1. And the Javelinas with the scoring distribution that Coach Johnny Estelle loves to see. 10 players have scored at least 2 points. That's led by Chauncey Thomas. He has 7. And Jamel Bradley, Alex Mills, Darius Pickens on his heels with 6 for WT. Brandon Hall and Jordan Collins each have 8. Those obviously are tied for a game high. And WT over the course of that first half just looked a little bit out of sync. A number of passes that just got thrown away, or passes to nobody that resulted in turnovers, committing silly fouls like the one you saw called on Mosey, the flagrant one at the end of the half. And they just seemed a little bit off their game. It didn't seem like the kind of clean half of basketball you would expect from the number 8 team in the nation. And I guarantee you Coach Johnny Estelle is not super happy with the half his team played. But the Javelinas were able to take advantage of some of the mistakes that West Texas made, as evidenced by the fact they currently hold a 7-point lead by a score of 40-33 right now. And as I said, in the game that opened this doubleheader, the first 5 minutes of this game are going to be crucial for this Javelina team, because if West Texas comes out and they fix the issues and all of a sudden they're clicking and they're in a rhythm, it's going to be really tough for the Javelinas to keep WT from putting together a run at some point in the third quarter that puts them in the lead. But if Tamuk can keep West Texas even and prevent them from coming out and snagging a lot of the momentum and all of a sudden racing into the lead, at the risk of stating the obvious, well, then it's just a basketball game. You're not playing the number 8 team in the nation. You're not in this difficult uphill battle against an excellent team. No, you're just playing a game against a team that right now is even with you, because once they throw that ball up, all the rankings and all the stats go out the window. And if the Javelinas can stick with West Texas, I think in the early stages of this second half, they'll be in a position to be in a game that I would expect to go right down to the wire. But obviously easier said than done against an excellent team. Hogs back out on the court right now, warming up for the second half here at the Spec. We'll take one more break. Be right back. The second half of basketball from the Spec is on its way. Don't go anywhere. Both teams back out on the floor as the second half set to begin. Each team with their starting 5 on the floor, and West Texas will begin this half with the basketball. 40-33 is our score. Javelina trying to spring the upset of the number 8 team in the nation after watching their women's team beat the number 2 team in the country. Layup won't go. Right there to collect his own rebound is Grant. Now driving in and passing out is Hall. Grant to Quaid. Murray. Quaid being guarded by Shire, not by Stevenson. Quaid shoots over him. Stevenson tips the board to Thomas. And now Chauncey Thomas heads straight in and traveled. Or check that, he carried it. So Gotch, Hall, Grant, Quaid, and Murray are the 5 on the floor for WT. Against Chauncey Thomas, Rashawn Thomas, Will Shire, Robert Stevenson, and Jacoby Harris. Gotch with Shire on him, backing him down, out. Grant, back to Gotch. Open, 3 misses. Gotch got knocked down, but there was no foul called, and now the Javelinas in control on offense. Stevenson, Harris. Stevenson with just 2 points. Both of those came on free throws. He's not been able to work him in the low post so far in this game. Thomas fighting with Shire, and the foul goes on Murray. That is his 3rd. He played only 9 minutes in the first half because of 2 fouls, and quickly picks up his 3rd. 76 seconds into the second half. Thomas to Rashawn Thomas. That 3 too strong, but Robert Stevenson goes up high. Possession restarts. Shire gets knocked to the floor by Gotch, but is back on his feet. Thomas instead goes to the basket, gets that one tipped, and it comes to Hall. Hall driving on Harris, out to Gotch, 3 from Grant. And WT a little bit off. Pass, really aggressive pass ahead to Shire, and the ball is grabbed by Grant. Another instance of the Javelinas just being a little bit too ambitious on those plays. Gotch gets the ball back off his own deflected pass, and now a whistle. Possession to the Javelinas. And they call that one on Quaid. That's Quaid's 3rd foul. So both WT players that started this half with 2 fouls have picked up their 3rd. We're not even 2 minutes in. Mickens to Harris. And I think they're going to get Gotch for a foul, and they do. And these referees calling the start of the second half very tightly, suffices to say. The good news is for WT, that's just Gotch's 1st foul. It is obviously the 3rd team foul. Harris to Mickens. Shire and Gotch just continuing to battle inside, and now I think they're going to get Shire for the foul, and they do. And Shire still carrying his hands up in the air as if to say, hey, I was within my own zone, but the official clearly disagreed. For Shire, by the way, that was his 2nd foul. Murray working against Thomas. Contact, but no call. Has it stripped away. Ball is loose. Mickens corrals it. Mickens ahead to Thomas. Underneath to Mickens driving. Turnaround. Knocks down the floater. Lead is 9. That matches the largest. That was the first. Those were the first 2 points of the half. Loose ball driving it is Grant. Pass for Quaid. Doesn't matter. A foul is called in the paint. That is Will Shire's 3rd. Rashawn Thomas goes out for Alex Mills. Mouton comes in for Shire. Now, honestly, I'm surprised we're not seeing Robert Stevenson in the game right now. He doesn't have a foul on him, but the Haviland is now Stevenson is in, my mistake. Shot over Mickens is good by Hall. Mickens wants to go right to the basket, good. Mickens now with 8 points. Loose ball, Harris can't keep it in bounds. Mickens now with 10, his second consecutive game in double figures. Collins to Hall. Quaid wants it inside. And they get a foul on Stevenson. That'll be his first.
On number 33, Robert Stevenson.
Quaid. And now Severo replaces Stevenson. Quaid in this game has played 11 minutes, does not have a single point. The difference between the teams is 9. Quaid goes right on Severo, passes out for Gotch. Good. Gotch, 11. Just helping out our official score. 11. Gotch hit that 3. Mills to Dyer, and Mills gets it back. Back to Dyer, trying to answer. He does so. 5 points tonight for Elton Dyer. Lead back up to 9, an offensive foul. Elton Dyer draws the call on Brandon Hall. And we have a media timeout, 15:57 to go. Just like it seemed like everything is happening, just like it did in the women's game. I said during the women's game, first 5 minutes of the second half will be huge. With 4 minutes gone to the half, they had increased their lead. The men's team went into the half up by 7. With 4 minutes gone in the second half, their lead is now up to 9. Again, matching their largest will be largest of this game so far. We'll be right back. Javelina basketball on the Javelina Sports Network. Don't go away. Dyer inbounding it to Mickens. Mouton. Mills back to Dyer, just drew that offensive foul. That was the second foul on Brandon Hall. Dyer using the window for the bucket. And the first double-digit lead of this game belongs to the Javelinas. Quaid, he'll try a 3. Rebounded by Mills. Mouton racing for Severo, too strong. Mickens with the putback. The Mukas come right out of that media timeout with a purpose, whistling a foul. And that foul goes against Dyer. That's 2 on him. First one missing as a pair of subs enter. Gotch and Quaid go to the bench. Evans and Mosley are in. And that season high that Mickens set on Saturday is one bucket away from being replaced. Mickens Dyer to Mills. Mouton with his team ahead by 12. Back to Mickens. The freshman with the hot hand. Shot does not count. The foul goes on the floor. That's Drew Evans. That's 2 on him. WT already up to 5 here in the second half. Mills into Severo. Ball kicked around. It comes to Evans. Collins. Evans to Hall. We get a travel. And now Murray and his 3 fouls return. Quick break for Coy Grant. Javelina's trying to add to a 12-point lead. Their largest lead in this game is 13. Mouton, 2 points to his credit so far. Can't get the shot to go. The foul was on the floor. And that one goes against Mosley. Mouton into Severo. Wants to work on Mosley. The hook did not want to go. Mouton fighting for the board. Severo gets it right back and then runs over Murray, but there was a whistle and offensive foul before that, so Murray took a very difficult charge for nothing. Murray just right past Dyer, who blocks the layup. They're saying goaltender. That looked like a good block to me. About 2 points to WT nonetheless.
2 rounds, go! 13.
Mills to Mouton. Mills can't get that 3 to go. Gotchu's back in ahead to Murray. Evans on Dyer. Severo blocks it, and a Tamook foul. And that's the third one on Dyer. 2 shots for Evans. And I think the coach, Tom Murray, Tom Brown, has been raising the issue of the height of the rim in the basket to my left. The basket that is not being shot at as Evans makes the first free throw. Rashawn Thomas, Chauncey Thomas, Jacoby Harris, Robert Stevenson all come in for the Javelinas.
Chauncey Thomas, and number 33, Robert Stevenson.
Evans, this is his first trip to the free throw line tonight. 81% shooter, misses the second foul shot. Javelina still ahead by 9. Harris to Thomas. Mouton. Mouton heads right in, right through a seam, but didn't get the ball up high enough. Murray. Evans. Shot no good, ball out of bounds to the Javelinas. And Mouton clapping his hands, still upset about that missed layup. And the referees are going to check the rim on the left side. I said they set the 12-minute mark. Gotch to Hall. Murray driving in, and now a late blocking foul. Boy, that call was called just an instant late. And the referee, Murray, saying he was in the circle. So if there was contact, no two ways about that. That is a blocking call.
Second personal foul, 16 foul.
So that's 2 on Mouton. Javelinas are already at 16 fouls here in the half. Obviously no shots. And the referee waiting and waiting for someone to inbound it. Still waiting, and finally Murray comes to perform the duty. Pass to Evans, but it was kicked by Chauncey Thomas. Murray to Evans. Harris with his hands up, but the shot good. WT within 7 now. Evans looking for a bucket to try and stabilize this situation. Thomas to Rashawn Thomas. A long 3 off the front of the rim. Collins racing ahead. Mosley lays it up and in. And Coach Johnny Estelle asking for the timeout with 12:35 to play in the half. And I think they're going to check the height of the rim. (51-46) the score. We'll take a break. This is the Javelina Sports Network. And the measuring apparently took place. With 12:35 to play in the game, we have a 5-point contest. Mouton to Stevenson inside. Up shot blocked by Mosley. Now fighting for it is Thomas, and I think Chauncey Thomas just drew a foul on Joel Murray. Murray protesting the call, and that is his 4th. And quickly, Craig Grant will come in for Murray. That's the 7th foul against WT.
Scott, 1-1. Hey, 1-1 down there.
One and one for Thomas. First one just too strong. Rebound grabbed by Quaid. Thomas's first miss from the free throw line this evening in 4 tries. Gotch going to back down. Mouton has it blocked out of bounds. 18 to shoot. And now Brandon Hall comes in for Jordan Collins. Quaid with Stevenson playing defense. Lost the ball. And calling a foul against Jacoby Harris. So now a 1-and-1 for Quaid. And Quaid, good free throw shooter, 70%. And hits his first free throw of the evening. There's his first point of the night. Got to give a lot of credit to this Temuque defense for keeping Quaid off the board for nearly 28 minutes. Obviously, foul trouble has played a role, but he still played 13 minutes of basketball. Thomas driving right past Quaid. Layup won't go. Mouton had the rebound. Out of bounds off of West Texas. And here comes the media timeout. 11:54 to play. 4-point game. It'll be Temuque basketball, 29 seconds to shoot when we come back. This is the Javelina Sports Network. Chauncey Thomas inbounding it to Rashawn Thomas. 9-0 run right now for WT. Temuque needs something to try and break that streak. Thomas to Thomas with 16 to shoot. Mouton setting a pick. Thomas wants to go inside. Harris. Back to Thomas driving along the baseline. Mouton has it blocked. Stevenson fighting for it back. Has it. And a timeout Javelina as the Hogs had the possession arrow, but they choose to use the timeout instead with 11:25 remaining in regulation. After Mouton had that block shot, that shot blocked, that was a pure scrum for the next second or two until Stevenson got it and the timeout quickly called. And Stevenson on his backside, not much of it, and a number of WT players are not much of a chance for anything, and the Hogs hold on to the jump ball arrow. Both teams are at 7 fouls right now. The foul situation for both teams is a little bit more dire for WT since they have Murray with 4 fouls. Quaid and Mosley each have 3. For the Javelinas, Harris, Shire, and Dyer are at 3 fouls. And the big thing is Robert Stevenson only has 1. You would think Stevenson would be the guy they'd want defending Ryan Quaid in crunch time. For him to be able to defend with just 1 foul is an enormous advantage. But just the fact that the Hogs have not worked the ball into Stevenson in the low post all night with Quaid guarding him speaks to what a quality defender he is. The fact that the Hogs aren't even taking that chance with Quaid having 3 fouls, trying to go at him and see if they can get him to pick up that 4th. Again, got to give him credit to the way he's played in the paint tonight. Neither team, listen to this, neither team with a single point in the paint this evening. 12 turnovers for, or 12 points off turnovers for Tamook, 9 for WT. Each team with 6 second chance points for as far as points in the paint, 0 for both sides. Turnovers still in WT's favor, 18-14. They're +4 in that category. Tamook shooting a little bit better, 42% to 40. Tamook also 13-15 from the free throw line, 66% from the foul line as WT, 8-12. Just checking. In the first half, the second half so far, Tamook has only shot 1 free throw. They were 13-14 going into the locker room. They have taken 1 free throw despite drawing 7 fouls. And that's by no means that a critique, but that's just an oddity. We've also had 0 ties, only 1 lead change. WT has led for less than 4 minutes on the clock. The Javelinas are nearly 15.5 in that category, but it is just a 4-point game right now. Thomas, Chauncey Thomas to Rashawn Thomas. Obviously, shot clock starts fresh. Rashawn Thomas to Mouton. Stevenson at the free throw line, waiting to set a pick for someone. 13 to shoot. Thomas gets a pick from Stevenson. Mouton driving past Quaid, using the window for a deuce. 4 points for Mouton. All out of bounds, off of WT. Possession to Tamook. And WT wants a timeout with a 6-point game. We'll take a quick break on the Javelina Sports Number 10, 52 on the clock. Tamook 53, the Buffs 47. Tamook to inbound. Mouton, Chauncey Thomas, Rashawn Thomas, Stevenson, and Harris are on the floor. Thomas with the pick by Stevenson. Mouton with the 3 in and out. Quaid with the rebound. They called a foul on Stevenson. Quaid looked like he had a hold of Stevenson's arm, but they do call the foul on Robert Stevenson. And now it'll be a 1-and-1 for Quaid. Front end is good. Quaid, second of 2 is good as well. We have a 4-point game. And now Mosley comes in for Evans. Thomas into the front court. Stevenson with the two-handed jam! And Stevenson making his presence felt on offense for the first time tonight. The lead back to 6. Stevenson has the ability to throw down some ferocious dunks. Quaid, though, responds by heading to the hoop for a layup. Harris, Thomas. Rashawn Thomas will try a 3. Javelina's ahead by 7. And they get Rashawn Thomas for unsportsmanlike technical. And he's immediately being talked to by Robert Stevenson. And Gotch will shoot the free throws as Jordan Collins is going to come back in the game. And you can see the technical foul easily called. Thomas clapped in the face of Quay Grant, who was defending him. And that's a tech 10 times out of 10. Gotch hits both free throws. And now WT with a chance to come out ahead with possession here after those 2 foul shots. So it was a 7-point lead, immediately shaved to 3 because of the technical. Now the other way goes Jacoby Harris. Free throw misses. Coach is still giving it to one of the officials, and he has taken off his tie. And now John Mouton will shoot 2. Or take that, will shoot a 1-and-1 and hits the first. Five points for Mouton this evening. Again, 10 players have scored for the Javelinas. Lead back up to 9. Tanuke shooting 46.8% from the field. They're 15 of 17 from the charity stripe. Mosley, Collins. Hall giving it to Murray, who's playing with 4 fouls. Murray got Stevenson out of the paint, then drove and used the finger roll. Stevenson jumps to his right, and that left nobody in Murray's way. Thomas to Harris, that's wide open, thought about it, but decided against it. Double team comes, Harris has it deflected out of bounds off the hands of Collins. 10 seconds to shoot. Media timeout, the 7:31 mark. A 7-point game, 65-58 Javelinas here in the second half. Be right back with more Tanuke basketball. Mouton will inbound it. Thomas with 8 to shoot. Rashawn Thomas. Evans playing defense. Thomas trying to take him to the hole. Does draw a foul. And Evans comes away from that play limping and signals he needs a replacement. And Quay Grant will be the man who comes in. That was Evans' 4th foul, so there's a good chance he would have come out anyway. Each team with 9. And Rashawn Thomas will shoot him. His 2nd trip to the foul line. 1 of 2 tonight. Thomas on the season at 73%. Elton Dyer comes in for the Javelinas. And as I mentioned, Grant replaces Evans for the Buffaloes. Thomas with 1 of 2 for the 2nd time. 8-point lead for Temuco. West Texas has not led so far in this 2nd half. Hall. Mosley wanted inside. Now Murray. Collins, a long 3 off the iron to Mouton. Javelina's trying to push the lead back to double digits. Under 7 minutes to go. Thomas to Harris. Wants to drive inside. Pulls up. Can't get the jumper to go. Collins. Bad pass stolen by Thomas. Thomas to Harris. Up and under, no good. Rebound tipped to Dyer. And he lays it through. Dyer uses the window. He's got 9. Lead back to 10. Ball comes loose to Harris. And then is stolen and lost out of bounds by Grant. That secret went steal, turnover. Stevenson replaces Dyer.
Hey, 1 through 5.
Thomas with Murray guarding. As I mentioned, Murray playing with 4 fouls. Harris wants to go to the hole. Picked up his dribble. Out to Thomas, 13 to shoot. Oh, Thomas lost his balance and had his leg get twisted awkwardly underneath him. The foul goes against Murray. That is the end of the night for him. And now the call gets changed to 2 against Grant, and Thomas having to be helped up. His right leg got caught underneath him, as you sure saw on the video stream. Walking off under his own power. You hope he's okay. And no, he's staying on the court. And now I think the referee's going to double check to make sure who the foul is on. The one official originally said it was on 13. Then I thought changed it to 2. So I think they're going to look at the replay to make sure they get the right person for the foul.
You shoot the 4 after you want to shoot the free throw. 33, 4, 5, and 3.
And the foul is against 13, so that will be on Murray. That's his 5th.
Second last foul on number 13, Joel Murray. It is his 5th personal foul.
Under 6 minutes to go. 10-point game. Mickens comes in for Chauncey Thomas. Robert Stevenson will shoot these free throws. And Brandon Hall comes back in. And these will be 2 shots for Stevenson. Can't get the first one to go. I mentioned Stevenson comes into this game at 50% as a foul shooter. With that one, he is right back at 50%. He's 2 of 4. And the lead is 11. Grant, as Thomas avoids a pick by Quaid, Grant drives and lays it through. Stevenson looked like he jumped and just stood there in the air for a second in midair, hoping that ball would rim out, but it didn't. Mouton, pass to Thomas. Step back for the fadeaway. Rebound tipped around, out of bounds. Looked like it was off the Javelinas, and it was. There have been some ferocious battles for rebounds tonight. Tamuk with a 31-24 edge in that category. Grant tries to drive in, gets it to Quaid. Layup won't go. Harris knocks the ball out of his hands. Possession to the Javelinas. And Tom Brown is livid about the lack of a foul call on that play. And to be fair, both coaches have been riding the refs hard tonight, but the refs, from what I've seen, have been pretty good-natured about it. I'm sure these refs have seen both of these coaching staffs before. Mickens, Mouton for Harris. Here's Dyer. Mickens, who has 11, for Stevenson. Dyer for Harris. Almost a travel. The pull up. The tip by Stevenson would not help. Hall. Gotch can't get the 3 to go. Rebounded by Stevenson. Javelinas added the rebound total. That's Stevenson's 7th, which is a team high. Four and a half to play. Tamuk trying to get back in front by double figures. 7 to shoot. Harris runs over Mosley. I think that's going to be an offensive foul, and it is. Played well by Mosley, who now is slow to get up, but gets a hand from a couple teammates. And that's 4 on Harris. And Mosley might have gotten the wind knocked out of him, but all for a good cause if you're a Buffs fan. Well, almost lost out of bounds by Grant on the pass from Hall. Wants to drive on Dyer, gets him away, and hits the 3 off the window. And a pained look on Elton Dyer's face after that shot goes through. WT within 6. Mickens, pull up. No good. Stevenson, right back up. No good. Mouton wants to try. Blocked by Quaid. Now he'll move it back out.
Come on, see the ball.
Halfway through the shot clock as Mickens waiting for an opportunity. Shot clock at 7. Mouton lost it. Foul on WT. And the whole WT team was upset at that call. That's 2 on Gotch, and this will be 2 shots. And we'll take a break. The final immediate timeout, the 3:16 mark, 69-63. All right, back with the end, taking to the end of regulation. This is Javelina basketball. Mouton to shoot 2. Mouton sinks them both. It's an 8-point game. Grant passes it right to Chauncey Thomas for the turnover. Ahead, Mickens lays it through. Lead up to 10. Quaid hits that one. 8-point lead, 2:48 to play. Chauncey Thomas racing past half-court, dribbles away from a trap. WT trying for a steal. Quaid with 7 points after that last basket. Mickens, wide open. Chauncey Thomas drives in pass to no one. Out of bounds. It was not deflected. Under 2.5 to play. Hall on Mickens, and a blocking foul is called. That's on Elton Dyer. For Dyer, that's number 4. Dyer 1 point short of reaching double figures. Hall is 2 of 4 from the free throw line tonight. First one is good. Mentioned earlier in this game, Chauncey, check that. Darius Mickens was 1 point short of his season high with 12. He's now surpassed that. It was 14, almost 10 minutes between baskets, but the Javelinas will take it. One free throw good, one free throw rims out. 7-point lead. Thomas, guarded closely by Collins. Ticking down towards the 2-minute mark. Mouton almost lost the handle. Grant trying for the steal. Now into Stevenson. Good, and a foul! They get that one on Gotch. Gotch his third. Stevenson can't complete the three-point play, but the ball's tipped back out to him by Dyer. Grant looking for the steal. Now the ball comes to Dyer. Mickens, Thomas, aggressive defense as you would expect being played now by WT. Thomas, double teamed. Mouton open for the dagger. Got it! Gotch draws a foul. And they count the basket for the foul on Mouton. I did not think they'd give the continuation there, but they do. And that's this would be an enormous three-point play if Gotch can complete it. I may have spoken too soon about that dagger. Mouton now with 11 for that three. It's the 7th made three for the blue and gold this evening. Thomas comes in for Stevenson. And Robert Stevenson's had quite a night. Gotch to bring his team within 9. Free throw is good. And now Derek Geddes comes in for Quaid. Still 1:33 to go. This game is far from over. Thomas, one of the best free throw shooters on this team. Pass deflected out of bounds by Hall. Dangerous pass by Thomas. Mouton, Chauncey and Rashawn Thomas, Elton Dyer, and Darius Mickens are the 5 for the Javelinas. Thomas trying to escape the double and does with a pass to Mouton. 1:20. Double comes again. Wide open is Chauncey Thomas. Javelinas content to let the clock tick and try and hold on to their 9-point lead. Chauncey Thomas to the rack. No good. Ball is loose. Dyer fighting for it. It's grabbed by WT, and a foul is going to get called on Rashawn Thomas. Mouton almost had what might have been a back-breaking rebound, but couldn't pick it up. And obviously this will be 2 shots for Grant with both teams over the limit. Grant 2 of 2 tonight. And keeps it perfect. He's now got 10 points. Grant has 10, Hall has 12, Gotch has 13 for WT for the Javelinas. Mickens with 14, Rashawn Thomas and John Mouton with 11. Second free throw is good as well. And now I think they're going to call a foul on Gotch. That would be his 4th. And Gotch was deep in the back at John Mouton while that ball was in the air. And Mouton with plenty of help on that free throw. Stevenson back in. Again, the good news for Tamuk Stevenson playing with just 2 fouls. Mouton trying to push this lead back up to 9. Javelinas trying to upset the number 8 team in the country. They came close last year. They're trying to complete the effort tonight. I should say complete the mission this evening. Mouton can't get that one to go. Mickens tips it out. Chauncey Thomas with the rebound. We're under a minute. Thomas with the double coming. Sean Thomas to Mickens. Back to Chauncey Thomas. Here comes the double again, but a foul is whistled on Hall with 49.3 on the clock. Javelina is closing in on that upset. What a double-header sweep this would be. Two shots. Thomas can't hit the first. Entered this game 81%. The second one is true. The lead's up to 9. Having this playing defense in the backcourt on Hall. No fouls, though. Gotch. A long three. No good. Whistle. And they might get Dyer for over the back. And they do. Dyer just a little bit too ambitious fighting for that rebound. And that's Dyer's 5th. His night is finished. 38 seconds on the clock. 2 shots for WT. Dyer's going to finish just short of 10 points. Grant trying to stay perfect from the free throw line. Can't do it. And now Derek Geddes will come back in. Grant trying to get his team within 8. He does his job. And Mosley comes in. Javelinas just want to run this clock and make their free throws. The only guy on the floor I think you wouldn't want the ball to go to is Stevenson if you're a Tamook fan. Mills comes in and Stevenson goes out of the game for Mills. Javelinas want their best free throw shooters on the floor. Ball to Thomas. Obviously a press for WT. And Thomas breaks it by drawing a foul. That one goes against Mosley.
His 4th personal foul. At the free throw line, shooting 2 for the Hawkeyes, number 10, Chauncey Thomas.
Thomas' first one is good. Javelina is 33 seconds away from the upset.
33 for 2. Visitors 112. Visitors 22, 3, 5, 2, 11.
And the lead is 10. And that should be all the Javelinas need. Head of the basket is Grant. Layup good. We'll see if WT wants to keep fouling. Inbound to Mickens, into the front court for Chauncey Thomas, to John Mouton for the exclamation points. Shot no good, ahead to Mickens. Mickens to Rashawn Thomas, and the Javelinas having some fun at the expense of WT at the end of this one. Shot no good, and that'll do it. The Javelinas complete the upset of the nation's number 8 team at home, a 12-point win. Odds win 86-74 to close this one out, and they complete a doubleheader sweep of West Texas. The women's team beats the number 2 team, the men's team beats the number 8 team. And what a night here in Kingsville for Javelina basketball. And no two ways about it, the Javelinas just simply outplayed West Texas this evening. WT was certainly game tonight, but Tamook made the big plays when they had to. They hit some huge shots. They hit their free throws as well. They won the battle on the boards. They just did all the things that a good team does in order to get a win like this. And the first Lone Star Conference win for the Javelinas comes at the expense of WT. That breaks WT's 5-game win streak. These teams obviously will see each other again. They'll play in Canyon on February 16th, and that's a long way away. Javelina is going to savor this win at home tonight. Again, both these teams, Wade Scott's team and Johnny Estelle's Javelinas, will be in action on Saturday against Eastern New Mexico, so be sure to join us for that. We'll have both broadcasts here via the Javelina Sports Network. We hope to have you with us on Saturday. First game tips off at 2, second one at 4. My name is Mark and Sarah. Thank you for tuning in to Javelina basketball this evening. We hope to see you on Saturday, but until then, take care and have a good night, everybody.